Left. Okay, oh. Just tried to reach for the stocks. I've driven the standard range, long range, and performance Model 3. Honestly, this standard range just blows them all out of the water. What's going on, guys? It's Brandon, or teslaflex, and today I'm here in Nuremberg, Germany, and I have the 2024 Model 3 Highland right next to me, and today I'll be reviewing it. So this is the 2024 Model 3 Highland, or, I mean, it's really just called the 2024 Model 3, but it's Project Highland. Tesla started launching it in China and Europe first. My first impressions, I really like it. It doesn't even feel the exact same as old Model 3s. It carries over a lot of the same features, a lot of the same a lot of the same feel, but it just has this refined feel, kind of like the Model 3 has just grown up a lot. But one of the first things you notice when you see the front of the Model 3 is that there is a completely different front bumper. I mean, the whole fascia is really just changed. You have some brand new headlights, and I really like these. They kind of remind me of the Tesla Roadster headlights that still hasn't come out. There's no fog lights anymore, and of course no ultrasonic sensors. Tesla has moved beyond sensors. Now they use cameras, and unfortunately there's still no front bumper camera. It used to be right there, but they still haven't added it. Maybe they will for the US market just because they would use it more for full self-driving, but I'm not really sure about that. There's also some brand new wheels and actually tires. Michelin and Tesla kind of co-developed these to make these more efficient. I'm not too sure about the actual efficiency. If you want to see more efficiency tests, you can check out Kyle Connor's channel and out-of-spec reviews. But we also have some new aero covers. I believe these are the 18-inch Photon wheels. And then the rear doors, pretty much unchanged. I don't think they even changed these at all, really. Quarter panel, pretty much the same as well. But then when you come around back, you also have a huge difference. You have brand new taillights. So these are actually one piece. So if you open the trunk, this completely goes up, and you have this little blank area right here. But don't worry, if you have the lights on and you're maybe stopped, then there is a little brake light that pops up right here. I'm not really too sure how effective that's actually gonna be, just because it's really small. But then when you get inside the trunk, you have pretty much the same exact trunk as normal, except they've kind of expanded it. So this is pretty similar to the Model Y when you have the two things. It's a little bit more shallow. Same deep trunk storage. And then you have some new buttons. This is a new, actually, trunk button, and it actually has two struts right here. So the outgoing Model 3, has just one, and it's on the right side, but now it's on both sides. There was issues with the trunk getting misaligned just from the way it would close, and over time it just kind of warps it one way. But it looks like they've recognized the issue and they have fixed it. But then when you close the trunk, it closes just like normal. I'd say it closes a lot smoother than the outgoing Model 3. And this is the standard range, so no spoiler or anything, but they got rid of the Tesla T logo. Now it's just the TESLA, just like the Model S and Model X have. And then since this is a European car, it has the longer license plate and has a brand new rear diffuser as well. So in the outgoing Model 3, you know, it's just all one, basically, painted bumper, but now they've made it a little bit sportier. It looks a lot more like the Model S. So with these new taillights, the turn signals are just right along here. I mean, I'm sure when you guys saw the pictures of the Highland, it was covered up like this, so you kind of just saw that. That's how we knew there was new taillights, because you would see the vertical stripe, but it goes all along here. And when you open the trunk, because this is all one piece, this will stay lit, but it actually will have the hazards down here as well as the brake lights. So let me get inside and show you what it looks like when I'm in reverse, and then for Europeans, what it looks like with the rear fog lights on. So let me get this trunk closed. And this is what it looks like when the trunk lights are on with the hazards. And then of course, when I open it, it has the rear brake lights, and then it has the hazards. But let me close this so I can show what it looks like in reverse. All right, so that's what the rear fog lights look like. And then when I go into reverse and I have those turned off, this is what the reverse lights look like. So, I mean, it's not like the greatest placement, but it actually does help with lighting up the area, I've noticed. Like, me and Kyle were testing this out, and it seems like it does a pretty good job with lighting up the area around it. Another pretty big change for the Model 3 is that it is now acoustic glass all throughout. And that, I mean, the windshield has always been that. I mean, it's been that for a little while. The front glass has been that since like the end of 2020, along with the top glass. And you can see the windows, these are double pane glass. They're actually a bit thicker than the rear windows, but the rear windows, It's thicker as well. It's not as thick as this window, but I mean, it still does the job. And then now this is also acoustic glass, and so are these quarter panel windows. So it's nice. That makes it a lot quieter when you're driving. It really gets a lot of road noise out, because I do notice, like, especially with this side and I'm like driving, it's kind of loud in my Model 3. So great improvement from Tesla. And then that's pretty much all for the outside. Oh, it does have hardware 4. So one way you can check to see if this has hardware 4 or not. So the rear camera right here, it's a lot bigger. On the last Model 3, it was really tiny. This is the exact same one that I have in my Model Y actually, but it's a lot bigger. So let's go ahead and get inside so I can show you some of the cool features, because it is raining and I'm getting soaked. All right, so getting inside the Model 3 is pretty much the exact same. But one thing I've noticed is that they have really improved how these doors close. Just listen to this. It's way more solid. It's a little bit more solid than the Model Y actually. The Model Y doors have been really great. The old Model 3 doors, like, you shut it and it's like a huge, it's not this like kind of clunk. It was more just like rattly. So really great to see that Tesla is improving this. I mean, it's just a door, but we do have new door buttons. These ones, they are not haptic. So the Model S and Model X, they have a haptic one. This looks just like it, but it's actually a button, and there's a lot of movement with it, which I honestly prefer that to the Model S and Model X, just because you actually feel something. So it's nice that they kind of made this more user-friendly. The Model S and Model X are a little bit more like futuristic, so they have stuff that maybe this car won't. And obviously this car is the cheapest Tesla possible. White paint, black interior, but it still has a lot of features for what you get. I'd say it's a huge step up. Another thing we have is this brand new steering wheel. So as expected from all the leaks and just like common sense, the stocks are gone. And if you are really dying for the stocks, Enhanced Auto, they are releasing stocks sometime in the future. Basically, they'll just kind of go on in some way, and that way you can still kind of use the stocks if you prefer to use stocks. So you can actually just press that and it will pop up the camera if you have that enabled, and then turn it off, you just press it again. And if you are switching lanes, like you switch over to the right lane, it will automatically turn off for you, so you don't have to like kind of like fidget with this to like turn off the turn signal. And then left would be like you push down on the stalk, so they have it lower on here. So that makes it a little bit like a little bit more user-friendly and easy to adapt to. And then you have a button right here, is to actually control the brights or the lights. So you can actually just press this, and then you can go ahead and edit your lights are here. Or if you want to hold this down, you can turn the brights on and have them all just on fully. The thing I hated the most about the Model S and Model X yoke and the steering wheel is that the horn was not in the center. They had this beautiful little Tesla thing in the middle, but no horn. But the Model 3, there is a center horn. And, you know, instead of leaving that spot empty, they actually added a new little button. So it's a camera button. So if I press this, it pops up this camera. You can have it set to this. I usually have mine with all 3 cameras. And then the wipers have also been moved to the steering wheel as well. So you just press right here and you can control the wipers, and that also allows you to see the whole menu. And if you want to control actually the wiper with spring, you just hold it down right there and it will has a little circle that pops up. And then the voice commands are also done through here, so you can, you know, basically just say anything. We have a brand new center console as well, and we also have some sexy buttons right here. I'll get into that in a second. But this is pretty similar to the Model S and Model X, where you kind of just push this inward, and then when you push this, you have the cup holders. These, not like the Model S and Model X, these do not move at all, but that's actually okay. I mean, this is a smaller car, smaller console, so it kind of makes sense that they don't move. But there is no more USB-C ports in the center console right here. There is the 12-volt little outlet right here that's been moved over here. And surprisingly, I don't know if you can get the camera fully in there, but there is a lot more space. My hand, you can go pretty deep in there. And then we also have a magnetic armrest. So just like the Model S and Model X, and the Model Y that just got discontinued that was made in Texas, it had a magnetic armrest. But I mean, this I prefer. It's a lot easier to use. You don't have to, you know, clip something every time you want to open it. You just kind of lift it up. But if you look right in here, we have one USB-C port. So this kind of ties into their cost cutting. I mean, realistically, you're not really using both USB-C ports in the center console at the same time. Like, I never even use them in my center console. I use the back ones just because it's more convenient. But this one can actually do 65 watts of power. So you need obviously the right cable, but if you have the right cable, then you're totally set. But overall in the front, like, you also have brand new dashboards. So they got rid of the ugly wood, and the white wasn't that bad, but there was some issues when you would hold or you'd be driving around and maybe the sun would come in and you'd have the white dashboard and, you know, it would reflect right on the door, pretty much covering up the mirror. And it was kind of bad. Now they've kind of gone with more of a textile top, and apparently people have been saying that you can remove this and swap it out with other ones. I'm not really too sure about that, but whenever I get mine, I'll see if I can try that out. And then we have ambient lighting all throughout the car. So to actually enable that, you go into the car settings and then lights, and then there's 3 different modes. There's off, on, and auto. I'm not really sure what auto does. I think it just turns off automatically when you don't really need to use it, but you have a lot of different options in here. You have white, blue, purple, pink, red, orange, green, and you can also add custom colors. So if you just want to, you know, have like a more, maybe just a reddish yellow, maybe a darker orange, I guess, you can just go that and you click the plus and then it adds on there. And even in the day, it's like not super bright out, but you can see this pretty well. And I'm sure people are probably wondering like if it would have some kind of reflection right here. It's kind of hard to see like from back there, but there is somewhat of a like cover over top of it, so you don't have any reflection on the windshield. It's about the same here. The only like minor reflection is from right there on that side of the windshield, but you can't really see it. You probably can see it on this side from your end over there, but it's barely noticeable, so it's really not an issue at all. But we also have the brand new wireless charging pad. I've had a lot of issues with like my iPhone 14, just the Pro Max iPhones. They don't really wirelessly charge that well because the pad on that one is like almost 3 years old. It's not great, and this is a lot better. It's pretty much the same wireless charging pad the Model S and Model X has, just the outside is shrunk a little bit. But here we have the sexy buttons, enhance auto. This is actually their Model 3. They're going to be taking it apart just to kind of like develop all these accessories because this is a brand new platform. And they want to, you know, they want to be the first to have the best accessories, and they make some really good accessories. So we have these buttons, they're laid out in the S3XY format. So you can actually customize them to do pretty much anything you want. You can have one like, for example, this one right here will fold the mirrors in when you press it. And you can also press it one more time to unfold the mirrors. And then this one right here, when you press it, it will actually turn on the lights all in the car. And you can also press it again to turn it off. This one will flash the hazards 3 times, kind of as like a thank you. And then this one I think is really cool because I hate having to go through all my menus. You can press this and it will open the glove box. One thing about the glove box is that it's magnetic now. So it usually had a clip, but if you look right here, it's a little magnet. I'm not super thrilled about how like it sounds when you close it. I don't think anyone could really get in there, but someone could technically get a crowbar and pry it open. But you know, it's also, you don't really see it it's kind of hard to see. It's just, it blends in really well. I mean, they've done a really good job with refining things that they had to, and then keeping a lot of stuff the same that worked really well. Like the screen is also a little bit smaller. Actually, it's not smaller. The whole display, like the entire, I guess, fixture, is a little bit smaller, but it's the same 15.4 inch display, just smaller bezels. Apparently, it's more responsive. I haven't really been able to tell much of a difference, but I guess when you kind of move it like this, it seems more responsive, and apparently it's brighter. It's kind of hard to compare when I don't have the cars right next to each other, but this is on like pretty much 100% brightness, so I guess it is pretty bright. I'd say maybe the old one is probably like around here when it's fully bright, so 100% brightness is, I can maybe see a difference in how bright it is. But let's go ahead and get in the back so we can see some of the new features. Along with the new door panels, we have some they're carpeted on the door pockets. So the Model Y has had this for a little while now, but this actually helps with the noise reduction. It was plastic before, and like I said, it has this soft touch right here. So I mean, it's barely noticeable, but it's there. So I mean, it's nice that they're adding that, and it's in the rear doors as well. You would think that Tesla might be cheaping out and just do it in the necessary areas. The Model 3 in the front, it has an emergency release latch right by the window switches, but in here, it doesn't have one, and it hasn't had one for a long time. But here, right in here, you have this. If you lift this up, you have your emergency release right here. So if the car is dead and you can't get out, the passengers no longer have to awkwardly climb through the front seats. They can pull this. Obviously, if the car is completely dead, the window's gonna hit this a little bit, it might damage something. And when the car actually has battery, it'll still pop the window down. So don't worry if you just wanna try it out, if you ever do that. But yeah, I mean, this goes back in pretty easily. I can kind of show you it just pops back in. So it goes like this. You just kind of pop it in right here, and then it just snaps in. But I mean, it's barely noticeable, and people just need to know, like, if you are stuck in your car and the car is dead, maybe the 12-volt battery is dead, something happens. If you are in here, this is how you get out. I mean, I don't think Tesla really teaches you that, but now you know that you can get out from the back doors in the refresh Model 3, not the current one. The Model Y does have it as well, it's very similar. So it's cool that they're always focusing on the safety improvements. All right, so here we have the back seats, and I have already noticed just a major improvement. Also with the rear doors, again, they're very solid. I have a lot more issues with the rear doors on my current Model 3. They just sometimes don't shut all the way. They're very solid. It's kind of like the Model Y where you can kind of pull it like slightly and it will still close. So right here, you can kind of see this more. This is in the standard range, the partial premium interior. It's kind of like the Model S and Model X fabric. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't really feel cheap. I mean, people were seeing the leaked door panels and they were freaking out, like thinking that like Tesla is cheaping out on this stuff. But realistically, it does not really feel that cheap. So that's nice. Like, this is the cheapest car and it still feels pretty premium. So we have a whole entire new back seat. I mean, we have brand new seats as well. But on this back seat, you can see this is actually kind of a rubber or like elastic instead of how it was kind of just built into the seat. But it also gives more leg room for passengers in the back. It's not too much more, but it's pretty noticeable. Again, the front seats are still kind of low to the ground, so it could be kind of an issue. You kind of have to stick your toes in there and not super comfortable. But I mean, if it's like kids or like young teens, I guess all three of them could fit in the back. I mean, we had 5 people in the car on the Nürburgring rig, and it was tight. So maybe not 3 adults, but 3 kids would be just fine. Then we also have a new armrest. So this is similar to the Model S, but not the same, obviously. This is just a cheaper version, but we have the cup holders. It used to be kind of like this, and now it's on the sides. I kind of like this more because it gives me more room for my armrest, or my arm to rest. And not magnetic or no like button like the Model S. You just kind of lift it up and put it down. And then again, we have the ambient lighting on the back, and even during the day, it is still really bright, which I really appreciate that. And we also have, it's very hard to actually see it on video, but just take my word for it. They have added back like kind of a soft touch headliner. For a while they had this, and then they started to really cut costs, and it was almost like they were just like gluing fabric on top of a plastic headliner, and it felt really cheap. But it feels better. I mean, it's such a minor thing, but people do notice it, and you know, it all adds up. And also one more thing based on the soft touch, all of this used to be plastic right here. Probably can get a better view over here. All of this used to be plastic right here, but now it's still plastic, but it has a soft touch material on it. So it makes it feel more premium, makes it feel better. Same thing with the door panels. They actually have the same soft touch plastic. You probably can see it right there. They are, they're soft, and I think they're less likely to get like scuffs on them just because it's a little bit of a thicker material. And then we have a speaker right here. I think it's still a speaker on there in the outgoing Model 3. But then we have this brand new rear display. It's an 8-inch display, so you can control the air in the back, just like the Model S and Model X. I like how it gives you little circles because you can kind of point at yourself better. I don't know if you can see that fully. It makes it a lot easier to see, so that's pretty cool. The only potential worry right here is like, just imagine kids like throwing Cheerios or something, like toddlers throwing Cheerios into the little vent hole. But then you can also change this this is the highest setting right here. You can lower this down to lower, but you can't turn it off by holding. You have to actually press this. But then you have your heated seats, but in the new Model 3, there's no heated seat in the middle seat. It's just the side seats. But same thing, you can turn them on the screen and turn it all off with one press. And then you have your music, and you have your entertainment. US has all this, but plus Hulu. You can also control the volume from back here. And apparently you can turn the air on like this, but you can't turn it off, so that's interesting. We also have this is new. Me and Kyle tested this actually. So we thought that you could move the seat while someone was in it, but while the car is in drive and it's moving, you can't actually move the seat. So this is kind of like more of a park feature, but you can move this like really far forward. It's like all the way forward basically. And actually, it looks like they might have fixed the whole issue with the visor. I don't know if you guys have ever known about this, but the top of the headrest would basically hit the visor, and it would create enough pressure to actually crack the mirror. Carter PCs did that on his. And you can also put the seat back. I mean, it's such a little tiny thing, but it does really make it a little bit easier, because if you have passengers and you don't have anyone in the front seat, it makes it a little bit nicer. We also have new lights. So the dome lights used to be right here in the Model 3, but now they are right here, and they're touch capacitive. And in my opinion, these are better than the Model S and Model X ones. These just, you can tap them pretty quickly and it turns off every time, even the slightest touch. Pretty easy. I'd say my only concern is maybe people's dirty hands getting up right about here. But if you can just hit it right in the middle, then that's fine. But really cool. Same little coat hooks right here. I mean, they're really not that different. It's just a coat hook. I have never actually used mine, but I mean, this is the entry model Tesla. The Model Y will probably be a lot better with the refresh. This was kind of their first little glimpse into the future of Tesla, the ambient lighting, just the interior language. All of this is going to the Cybertruck, the Model S, and the Model X. This carried over some stuff with the Model S and Model X, just like the Model S and X carried over stuff from the Model 3 and Y when that got refreshed. Now it's they're building off of each incremental change to their cars. Each one picks up things from the last and improves on what they could have done better. We also have brand new seats in the Model 3. So these are perforated, finally. My biggest gripe with the seats, I mean, besides me doing my spill videos, which I can't do in this car anymore, is that your back gets really sweaty because there's really no ventilation. These seats are not cooled, they're only heated, but it's really nice that they have this perforation, so it makes it a little bit more breathable. The front seats, however, are cooled, so let me show you that. Basically, you just go on to the car's settings right here, or you go into the climate settings, and then you can go right here. You have two options, heat or cool. So you click on cool, and you can do it 3 bacon strips, 2 or 1. I guess that would not be a bacon strip anymore, maybe an icicle. But you can hear them. They're actually pretty loud, so I'll turn the other side on, and I'll bring my mic up close to it. But it ramps up pretty quickly. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, they're not super loud. Obviously, if you're driving, it's going to feel a little bit quieter. We're not moving at all right now. Yeah, I mean, you can feel the air immediately. It's nice. It's something that is just really nice to have in a Model 3. I mean, especially driving a lot in the summer, your back just gets really sweaty. And again, this is on the cheapest Tesla. So if they have this on the cheapest Tesla, then imagine what they're going to do with the Model Y, because the Model Y is their real seller. So one thing I said about there's no stocks anymore, you can't shift in and drive. So you actually can just use auto shift. So I think the way you pulled in, yeah, it knows that we're probably going to be driving out. So basically all I do to shift gears is buckle my seatbelt first, put my foot on the brake, and then I can just press on the accelerator and it puts me in drive. No shifting at all. And then I don't know if many people know this, but when you want to go and park and you're where you want to be, unbuckle your seatbelt and it puts you in park automatically. And that's not it's not breaking any the Tesla rules. It's not causing an error. That's just part of the design. I mean, you can also go ahead and press the park, but I've honestly preferred always to just unbuckle my seatbelt. It's just one last step, because you just unbuckle your seatbelt, get out of the car and go. But then if for some reason the screen goes down or something, you have your emergency buttons up here. And in my opinion, they're actually easier to touch than the ones that are here on the Model S and Model X. So to go into reverse, you just have your foot on the brake and you can just press that. Or drive, you just press that. Neutral, you press that. But once again, there are capacitive touch buttons, just like the lights right here. Same with the hazards. So I mean, nice improvement. Some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it. I like it. All right, so shifting the drive is really easy. Like I said earlier, you just put your foot on the brake and then put your foot on the accelerator and speed up a little bit. I'm going to open these cameras. There's a little bit of a tight area right here. And then of course the auto wiper is going crazy for the first few seconds. But I mean, this feels just it feels pretty easy to maneuver. I mean, I like how small the Model 3 is compared to other cars. My Model Y, I mean, it's comfortable, but you can definitely notice a difference, just when you're trying to park and stuff. Okay, just tried to reach for the stalks. But I mean, it feels really smooth. This is insanely smooth. And I mean, now that I actually have the steering wheel all done, I can just click this easily. It's really nice, and I really do like how this feels compared to the Model S and Model X. You can actually feel a movement, which is what they were really lacking on that. Just my first impression is driving this, like, you have the power, but it feels smooth. It feels as smooth as the Model Y, because the Model Y has comfort suspension. The Model 3 hasn't had it. So this is just really nice to see, like, how smooth this is. Overall, like, it's nice. It doesn't feel as rough as the old Model 3. It's really cool that they've been able to fix all these issues while keeping a very similar feel to the car. I mean, I'm gonna go back to the United States, and I'm gonna feel like I'm driving a legacy Model 3, because technically that will be a legacy Model 3 in a couple months. I mean, it already is now in Europe and China. You can have it set between 1 or 2 presses for autopilot, so you can press this twice and it will enable autopilot. Just like the Model S and Model X, it's really nice, really convenient, works really well. There's no full self-driving in Europe, but in the United States there is. And this has hardware 4, like I said, so the cameras are just, you can just see how green it is. It's beautiful. I mean, they had the update for the older Model 3s and Model Ys, but in my opinion, this still looks so much better. And you know, it should, it's a completely different camera system. But to disable autopilot, you can just press this or put your foot on the brake. I'm just gonna press that. And then one thing why you might want the sexy stocks, you have to signal in Europe. So if I want to go out this way, I don't know if this is even, I can go out here, but I have to have my signal on to actually exit. So if you're turning and you're in a roundabout and you have to use your signal, then that's gonna be an issue, because you can't just like reach down. It's kind of uncomfortable. So the stocks will be great for people that especially live in Europe and want to just have that right there to press the stock down. In the US, it's not so much of an issue. There's not that many roundabouts there. I mean, there's roundabouts for sure, especially like up in northern Colorado, but nothing as crazy as here. I mean, I think the most lanes I've seen in a roundabout in Loveland is 2, and you know, there's very simple. But here, obviously, it's more complex. The roads are different. But overall, I mean, this just feels like really nice to move around in, and it still has a lot of power for being the standard range. I am excited to see the long range and see what that has to offer. I mean, we can try the horn out. I mean, one thing, you can barely hear it, which is kind of interesting. Turning just feels really fluid, and then going around these curves is really nice. And again, auto wipers just are not doing the job. The seats, they feel honestly more comfortable than the Model S and X, and even the current ones. Like, I know the Model 3 and Y seats are really plush and comfy, but these feel about the same, a little bit better. But I think obviously the huge benefit that it has is that they're ventilated and the front seats are cooled, still heated and everything. I honestly might go with the black interior when I get my Model 3. I know like the white looks so much better, but the black, I just think it might be easier to keep the perforated seats cleaner if I just do that. So going around this curve, yeah, I mean, it feels really nice. So great job, Tesla, on just constantly improving it, because the Model 3 was definitely due for an update. I mean, they've never gotten a major refresh. They've had like minor refreshes, like they added the heat pump in 2020, and you know, they added some things, but nothing like this. And I think that's kind of why Model 3 sales were starting to slump, is just because it was the same car, but now it's like a completely different car. The team in Shanghai that actually worked on this refresh, they did an amazing job, so huge shout out to them. The road noise, you can barely hear it now. It's a lot quieter, because they do have acoustic glass all around now. So I mean, they had it in the front, in the top glass, and the side windows in the front, which was okay, but now you have it in the back glass, and you have it on the roof glass in the back. So it's really nice. And then obviously we have the carpet door pockets as well, which helps kind of mitigate some of that rattling. This is the perfect daily driver. I mean, if you're looking to buy a Tesla, this is probably the one to buy once, you know, it's available in the United States, or if you already can get it now, the Model 3 is definitely, I'd say it's worth the upgrade, even from like a 2021. If you have an older Tesla and you're maybe thinking like it's time to upgrade, or maybe even considering buying a different electric car, I would definitely go and test drive one of these as soon as it's available. I mean, with a yoke, honestly, it was more comfortable to hold with the stockless design. So when I get my Model 3, I'm gonna add stocks just to try it out. But I mean, going uphill now at the curves, like it does feel really smooth. Like, I'm just impressed. I've driven the standard range, long range, and performance Model 3, and honestly, this standard range just blows them all out of the water. Like, I'll definitely notice immediately when I get back when I'm driving the Model 3 Performance, like just how rough that is. And I mean, this is on 18-inch wheels and has way bigger tires. So my Model 3, it has 20-inch Martian wheels with the 20-inch Pirelli tires. But you know, so that's gonna feel rougher. But just this, it's just so like comfortable to drive in. Like if you're going on a road trip, I usually recommend the Model Y if you're going on a lot of road trips, but the Model 3 might actually overtake that now. I mean, eventually the Model Y will get an update, but that means you can kind of just choose any Tesla. I mean, now it really seems like Tesla is upping their game, and they're making these cars better for the driver, and they're improving on their costs, which is good for the shareholder and the customer. They're not just focusing on one or the other. So, I mean, they're constantly changing things. There's so many things they're working on that we just don't know about. I'm sure they're already developing the Model Y Juniper. I mean, I guaranteed they are, but they just haven't started pushing those test cars out. And the moment you see those test cars, that's when you really start to like see the rumors. The rumor mill just goes crazy because, I mean, we saw the first Model 3 Highlands covered like July 2022. And, you know, people were thinking it was going to come out like mid this year, early last year, or early this year, late last year. But no, like they take their time. And now you can finally start to see a few Highlands on the road, especially in California, but they're all Tesla cars. If you live in Europe, I mean, there's a very high chance you will start seeing these everywhere. China, they're everywhere. I mean, we were at the supercharger yesterday, and there were some people, and they were just test driving a Model 3, the very first Tesla they've ever driven, and it was the new Model 3, and they said they really liked it, which is really good because it gets more people interested with the car. Instead of having to focus on like getting people that like technology and stuff, you can get just people out of their gas cars into these cars because it feels like a better car to drive. Overall, I mean, this is quite the improvement. I mean, this was definitely worth coming to Europe to see, or else I would have had to wait probably 3 or 4 months. I would have bought one regardless, but now I really want one. Like now I'm gonna go back and just the Model 3 is just gonna feel so outdated. I'm still gonna like driving it. It's still fun to drive, but I'm gonna know there's something better coming. And if you're in the United States and you're about to buy a Model 3, my advice is I highly recommend you wait for this one. Otherwise, you're gonna get yours. I mean, you're gonna love it. Regardless, you're gonna love it. It's a Tesla. It has great features, great safety, great range, great charging network. But when this comes out, it's gonna be like buying the iPhone 14 right before the iPhone 15. All right, guys, that's pretty much gonna be all for this video. I will have a few more videos about the Model 3 Highland coming out, and of course, when it's available in the United States, I'm buying one as soon as possible, and I'll have a ton of videos coming with that. And also, I'll have a ton of short form videos as well, as you wanna just watch videos in a smaller, easier to digest content format. But I also wanna take a minute to thank Enhanced Auto for lending me their car. And if you guys wanna check out their products, I'll have that linked in the description below. They make amazing, sexy buttons, and they have this sexy knob coming, and they will eventually have the sexy socks coming as well. Check them out, it's in the description below. Anyways, guys, like don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the Model 3 Highland. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.